Hello, I'm Lynnsey, Engagement Manager at Strategic Partnerships here at Yorkshire Water.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm the Technical Specialist in Hydrogeology.
So we're here in the East Riding today to find out all about groundwater. Sam, what is groundwater?
So, groundwater is basically water that is present underground, starting off from rainfall. When it contacts the surface, it then infiltrates through the topsoil into the geology, where there it goes through fractures, fissures and pore spaces. Once it reaches a zone called the saturated zone, this is better known as the water table.
So why do we use groundwater in the east of Yorkshire?
The reasons are that in the east, the topography is a lot flatter than over in the west. In the west, you have a lot more steeper valleys for where the rainwater travels down into the reservoirs. In the east, you've got the chalk, which is in a lot of places is not covered by superficial deposits, so therefore infiltrates into the chalk, and that is why you don't see many rivers on the wolds.
So why have we seen so much groundwater recently?
There's been so much groundwater recently due to the amount of rainfall we've seen since September. In the last 6 months, every month has surpassed the long-term average for rainfall. Due to the high groundwater levels, the springs are overflowing. This is a natural process for an aquifer to drain.
I've come to Hull today to meet Emma, our Manager of Strategic Partnerships, to find out more about the impacts of groundwater. So Emma, how does groundwater get into our sewers?
Okay, so we have 3 different kinds of sewer. We have what we call foul-only sewer, so water that comes from the property, so toilets and sinks and appliances. Then we have a surface water sewer, and this will take water from roofs and from yard areas, and also more likely than not the roads. And then we have a combined sewer, which takes water from both of these places. And what we see with groundwater is, sewers aren't a sealed system, so there are breaks between the lengths of pipe, and also there are connections from private properties to the public system. And at each of these, there's an opportunity for water to find its way into the system.
So Emma, what impact does groundwater have on our sewer network?
So as I mentioned earlier, the capacity in the sewer network is there to drain homes, and more often than not some of the roads as well. And what we've seen this winter through sustained storms is that groundwater infiltrating into the sewer network and taking all that capacity that we need. And so what's happened as a consequence of that is some external flooding, so flooding happening on roads and sometimes in gardens. We've seen people unable to kind of flush their toilets properly, that water's not kind of draining away into the system, and in some circumstances we have seen water getting into properties as well, and that's all due to the lack of capacity in the network and that inability for water to drain away as it normally would.
How are we managing all of this?
So within the sewer network we do have storm overflows that relieves some of that pressure, so when the system is full. Where that's not been sufficient, we have tankered our network, so removing flows from the network, and we have also overpumped our network to try and mitigate that impact onto our customers this winter.
What about the long-term impacts of groundwater?
So we know that our climate is changing, and that might mean that we see more winters like this more regularly. Groundwater is a really complex source of flooding, and it's really important that we work with the other risk management authorities to do this in a holistic way. So we've got the Environment Agency and the lead local flood authority, and what we need to understand is the source of groundwater and the different ways in which we can manage it, rather than just focusing on the sewer network independently of that, to make sure we don't cause issues elsewhere. So we need to look at long-term strategic solutions, and we need to do this in partnership.
It's been really interesting learning about groundwater here in the East Riding today.
If you'd like to know more, please go to yorkshirewater.com.